I like the gray.
Good morning,
Really
it's
brings
March
that silver
20.
out you got going on. It's nice.
Alright, good morning, it's March 27th, 2025, 9:07 a.m. My name is Nikki Powell, HR Director. We are meeting with IAFF for a continued bargaining session.
Eric Gilmore, Public Safety.
Travis Tompkins, Public Safety.
Jeff Floyd, HR.
Josh Hunter, 4131.
Justin Martin, 4131.
Nick Grady, 4131.
And Kristen Hewell from County Attorney's Office.
Alright, we closed the last session with one of two options. You guys were gonna let me know if I needed to get with legal and have some language drafted, or you guys were gonna let me know about a date audit. I've not heard from your team, so ball's in your court today.
So we took it back to the membership and talked it over quite a bit. First, appreciate the effort of everything going into this, right? Getting the scale of something we've been really trying to secure for over a decade now, and the importance of an actual scale. So really appreciate the efforts of getting that back to us. As I think we all can agree, there's some inherent issues and fundamental problems with implementation of this style, but this is what we got. It's a good foundation to work off and build out of. And I think we recognize that, but a lot of our membership also recognizes that there's inherent problems, right? So out of that, we got some language to pass on the wage rate, basically just kind of securing, the spirit of the scale, so to speak. So the outpacing and things like that, we've discussed and talked about. So I'll pass this across and see what you guys think about it. This has the Me Too stuff.
So the only thing I can say on this language is the intent was to move to the corresponding step, not the percentage. I would have to recalculate this out, and it's probably gonna be more than the 1.7.
So the implementation is as it sits, right? But if you, as you say, as you meet your step going forward, right? Because if somebody gets a 2% in October, it's going to move them up if the scale doesn't move with it, or they're kind of one of those anomalies in between. It's just guaranteeing that longevity step that this is built off, right? So if, say they're sitting between a step for some reason, it just guarantees them when they hit that step, they either go to that rate or they get the percentage, whichever's higher.
Right, that's not how it was calculated. So that means I have to recalculate everything.
For implementation, it wasn't calculated like
It
that?
was calculated at the flat rate. If you move up, you
Right,
move into
no,
the flat rate.
understand that for the implementation of it, right? You go to that flat rate, okay? That, yes, we're not saying that's changing. We're just saying if you reach we go to this, it implements, and then you hit, say you're at year 6, and then year 7 comes along, then if for some reason you're at $16 even, that's in between, right? Going to the 1659 wouldn't be that 5%. So it's just saying that person at that year mark.
Right, and 5% is a lot more than 59 cents.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Not calculated that way. That would
in
require
terms of
recalculation.
implementation, correct? Just in terms of implementation is what you're referring to, right?
Right.
I'm talking about after implementation when you're.
Your hang-up's that very first line.
Yes.
I
And
think the
simply
way
because
that.
I'm gonna have to, I can't answer this today. I'm gonna have to take this back to budget and explain to them what this means over the next 3 years.
Did you cost this over the next 3 years already?
Yeah, I did a 3-year.
Even with the.
I did a 3-year for them, for their purposes, without any consideration given to an MSBU. If there is no MSBU, what does this cost for 3 years?
And you calculated the steps as people move through for those 3 years.
It sounds to me like part of your hangup here is the way that first line is worded, that your interpretation would require you to implement, like, rather than putting them in the scale, it would be scale plus percentage potentially for certain people, and that's not the intent there. The
That's
intent
not
is
how
to
it
use.
was originally calculated.
Right. So the
Because
intent is to
that's-
utilize your scale in order to place people appropriately in the scale, as what you initially presented. Our understanding or our hope was to, the spirit of this scale is based on tenure with the county as a whole, right? That was a difficult thing for us to address in terms of with the membership, because the reality is, due to the structure of the scale, the implemented way everything plays out, essentially a scale is on the table that no one would be eligible for beyond implementation moves. So by allowing, as the tenure rolls around, and again utilizing the spirit of you hit an anniversary date, you receive that percentage. That's what our intent is for this language to reflect. So if we need to address that language or come to terms about how to reach that interpretation, that's the goal here. So if it's, rewording some things, that's fine. That was the overall objective here.
I think with the way that my calculation was done, it was if you get there and you're already there, that's it, you're capped out, which you saw, we had 11 people capped out for implementation. But if you moved up, you would move into these, but it was not based on moving by a percentage, it was just an amount in a table. And those tables are the same that any other county has. Now, sometimes they do move their table, and that would be an intent in the future.
Mhm.
That was not what was calculated. So that's all I'm telling you today. I have to take this back. If this is your proposal, I have to
In
take
the last
this
session,
back.
you said you didn't have a cost for projected out beyond implementation. So I'm not
I
sure.
did not say that.
Pretty sure. Because I'm pretty sure we asked what the overall cost of the plan was, and you weren't able to provide it at that point in time.
You asked for something different that I had not calculated, but
Okay.
yeah.
I think we're talking about a very few people that actually fit that category, right? We're talking a handful. It can't affect the.
I understand 100% what you're saying. I don't speak for budget. Budget is not in the room today. What you're presenting today would have to be recalculated.
Okay.
That's it.
How long was that?
I don't know. I have not been able to sit down and do the calculations needed for my upcoming bargaining session with another union. I can do it as quickly as I can. I already have the table built, but it's having to go one by one into the table of the people. So what they've asked for is, so our previous table, let's see if I have our proposal here real quickly so that I can explain it. Our previous table had years of service and rates with cap outs. Okay. What they're asking for is percentages, and you go to that, or if you're already there, you get 2%. So that was not built into this. This was built with the flat rates and the caps. This is not built with a cap, meaning if they're already there, they still get 2%, or they get 5%, or they get whatever. So my 3-year analysis that I gave to Stefan, hey, if there's no MSBU, this is the cost now, is going to change based on their presentation today. So I have to redo that analysis.
Is there anything else we can talk about?
Everything's kind of.
I mean, I've got 10 and 19, but you guys already have those. I do have the language for 10. If if you want it. But I think I already gave them 19 last time. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
them 10, 19.
Yeah, like I said, it's, obviously we take these things back just like you guys do. And have discussions about it, and that was one prevailing concern from the body was, well, this is a little bit different way to approach going to a scale. But it's a unique way, it's a creative way, and it, like I said, establishes a foundation, but they're offering us a scale that by default really doesn't have much benefit other than the initial implementation side. When the spirit of a longevity scale is to provide those rewards, or however you want to phrase them, those increases for the time they've served with Escambia County. So you kind of look at it like, what's the point? Should we restructure this, or should
Basically,
we?
y'all don't want people to cap out, so that's what I got here, and I can redo those calculations, and that's easy enough.
let me-
It's just
let me ask you
gonna
this.
take me some time.
Let me ask you this, and we're talking about redoing calculations and everything. We talked about the inherent issues and problems with the implementation of it like this. If we've got to go redo calculations, I think maybe we should just go ahead and explore time and grade with this. If we're gonna, like I said, we're talking about calculations, I know you said we can go to UKG and pull those times, I already know that. Those times are in UKG for the promotion times. So I knowing the feedback from the membership, if this wasn't kind of accepted, and we're gonna have to go back and renegotiate and look at numbers and everything else, I feel a strong portion of our membership, now be a minority, but you're talking about senior guys, that this really hurt it, okay? Because it compresses the rank really bad. So if we're gonna go back and talk about
Do
things,
calculations and do time and grade.
yeah, I think we need to explore time and grade, and we need to make it meaningful. Like I said, the lieutenants and officers up have been compressed from the bottom up, right? Back
Can you commit
15
to
years
that?
ago, we were talking almost a 50% difference.
If they can commit camp to that, I'll commit an employee to that. We'll get those dates together and we'll redo a scale based on time and grade.
Okay, I think, can we look at both options since we're going that way? Or, because I don't think.
We're happy to look at anything.
Yeah, no, and I want to work to get this, and
I'm
if,
happy to look at anything that we can.
Yeah,
I'll say will be successful.
we understand the hurdles you have, right? You only have so much to implement. We feel like we've defined a gap that exists in terms of wage comparisons, right? Unfortunately, to bridge that gap, the implementation cost is going to be too much to bear for right now, right? So how do we make a move towards that? And again, while this is a little bit unorthodox, it does provide some unique opportunities in terms of setting that foundation up for the future. And we put an incredible amount of work in trying to, because at face value, the general member looks at this and they don't really understand that. So trying to say, hey, this is working collaboratively, this is where we want to go and what we're trying to get to, it starts to kind of come around. But it is obviously contingent on some factors there. Some of which are completely out of our control and your control.
Sure.
They go to the upstairs. So we all get that, right? Time and grade is, we've all kicked this horse till it's dead, right? That's the goal, that's the ultimate goal. Our concern was what was available in terms of implementation costs, jumping straight to time and grade may come off, not intentionally, but may come off as not very meaningful to our majority of our members, and so that was a concern. So yeah, I know it's a lot of work. We appreciate you guys being open to that, looking at it.
We're happy to cost it out.
I don't think you guys offered this with the intent. I apologize, but I don't think you guys offered this with the intent, any kind of malicious intent. Oh, here's a scale that none of you are going to qualify for additional steps. It's unfortunately you had to put the rates in there to shift.
The intent truly was, if the MSBU passes, we move the scale accordingly.
Right.
We can't say what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what's going to happen in the future.
And we understand
That was the
that,
intent of the build of the scale and how it was calculated.
We absolutely understand that, and what we're discussing today, because of that unknown, is to try to provide some security and assurance to our membership.
So I can do this second calculation, but I can tell you it's gonna be more than, what I had already costed out.
Mhm.
And then I will assign an employee in my department to work directly with camp, and, we'll make it a priority next week to try to get that done.
Can I ask you,
I'll pull John, yeah.
Nikki, if you ran this out, you said for 3 years? Was that your projection? And that would have been associated, when you ran that out, did you include across the board COLA, or did you just run it based off of what's in this scale in terms of longevity increases? I'm trying to understand what the unknown factor would be. Is it the across the board increases that may or may not
I
happen?
assumed a 3% each year.
Okay,
I assumed.
okay.
Yeah, and members hitting their mark moving.
Correct.
So in that assumption, they're hitting 3%, everybody's capped and
Yeah,
wouldn't
because
earn
my
any.
table just moves them automatically.
So were you applying to, and again, just trying to understand where you were going with it, you were applying the 3% to the chart itself? Okay, so basically like the input number for this scale, because everything's gonna be based off an input number
Exactly what I did.
of the starting fireman rate. So is that number adjust everything in the scale adjusts with it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I,
I'm just on my spreadsheet with the second spreadsheet right now. When we sat in our office with Travis was there too.
You got that?
I'm trying to pull it back up. I
That
only
significantly
sent
reduces the
your
fiscal
one,
impact.
but I'll show you
Because the
in
number
office.
affected by that is much smaller, right?
that's fine. Let's explore. We got those two options, those routes, right? Explore what this looks like. But I think if we're going to go back and explore things, I really think our membership would really like to look at a timing rate implementation. We understand it's got to fit in that line, that budget, right? We understand that, and if we can get to that time and grade, I really think a lot more of our membership would be, and it's the right way to implement this, okay? Like I said, this is what was on the table. These were kind of the terms that the membership said, hey, we can agree to this right now, but if we're back at the table, we'd like to see both options.
Okay, that's no problem.
Okay.
Let me be up front, just not up front, let's just say that. A lot of wolves at the door
Understand.
with the city right now. I mean, we're battling with the city. For whatever reason, they think we owe them $2 million right out of the general fund. UWF's come to the table with their hand out. But right now, it's with the city. I don't think there's an appetite. I don't know what the appetite of the board of schools is. Sure, the appetite of some is. I know what my appetite is I don't know anything. Because my loyalty is to this organization and to our employees. But it is a true, the board's really getting beat up, really getting a lot of pressure on them right now. But I had a meeting Friday morning with some folks from the city. And their play is, well, you are going to get a bunch of tipping fees out of this demolition. Maybe, maybe not. You can take your C, D, and D anywhere you want to take it. They're going to give it to us. But even if we get tipping fees, that money has to stay in the waste services account.
It's kind of like saying you're gonna make some extra gas tax money off the dump trucks running around. That's kind of a silly
So,
argument.
I can't take waste, it's an enterprise account, the money has to stay there.
Right.
I can't reimburse the general fund out of that money. So to me, that's a moot point. And plus, you're gonna take up 6 months of my airspace. Why do you think I owe you $2 million?
Right.
I mean, that's just, it's just, and the city's got money in the CRA. Bab's got money, plenty of money. They don't need it, but they want it.
Can I ask you something? I mean, I'm getting a little off here, but it's to the point. There was a recent story run about the $2 billion collected in tourism in Pensacola. Is that like through TDT? I mean, what is that?
That's TDT money.
Okay. I mean, public safety is related to tourism. Is there a way to
I already tried.
maybe access
We're
some
too
of
big.
that, or is
We
a
do
reason?
look at that. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't fit that.
And I'm trying to put a cart before the horse, but when they say there's $2 billion with a B, that's
Yeah, well, our TDC has grown, we were collecting 16 million a year, we're roughly up to 24 million a year.
Yes, sir.
So we're pretty healthy in tourism dollars as we move
Well,
forward.
talking about it seemed like a pretty healthy request for, not that it's unwarranted, but the General Chappie, memorial,
That's
that's
another,
a healthy.
that's another fight.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes, sir.
another-
Oh, we understand that, yeah.
So, and I don't have no idea where that's going.
Well, I get, and I know we're crunched for time to get, something on the table and get people taken care of. And with that said, like I said, you weren't here, but I really appreciate the work that's been done, put into this, and come something that is meaningful, right?
Sure, absolutely. And likewise.
And I would commit to Nikki and pull our resources, that way we can maybe get something in the next couple of weeks and get back to the table and try to get this hammered out. I don't know if maybe you got some dates coming up that we can go ahead and get done, or if you want to have.
I'll get, Ms. Tasha to reach out and get that
We
scheduled.
can send it to you.
Because honestly, I think I can compile the information we need if like I said, talking with Camp or getting. I think Chief Booth is very well versed in telestaff and can help me pull those things, and I can do a lot of the legwork to help with that time and grade while you're looking at this option, and I can get that time and grade going if that's something that helps you out quite a bit.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right. Thank you guys, man. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
we got the other options, and quite honestly, if we sign today, it doesn't really matter because we still got wages open.
Right.
I think some of it's contingent upon where we land with wages. So we'll just hold on to those other articles, the holidays, and the hours we worked. And then we'll get back to work and see where we land.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank y'all.
No problem.
Y'all be safe out there.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.